Hey, what's up guys? Welcome back to the third part of the Delta Unisaw table restoration. In part 2, shown here, we went through all of the parts, cleaning, deburring, derusting, sanding, basically getting everything cleaned and prepped for paint. In this episode, it is all about the paint. We go through the taping process. We also go through and clean up some of the exterior parts and get the cast iron topped, polished, and cleaned up. It did have a few nicks and things like that. I hope you guys are enjoying the series so far. If you are, please be sure to hit that like button and check me out on Facebook and Instagram. On Instagram at DraysWorkShop and on Facebook at DraysWorkShop. Once again, I hope you guys enjoyed, and yeah, thanks for watching. Hope you enjoy the video. Taping and making sure any mating surfaces or any moving surfaces are covered before we go through and paint everything. Once I had all of the mating surfaces taped up, we could move on to paint. On all of the internal parts, I didn't really want to put any certain color or any gloss finish or anything like that. So with everything on the inside of the table saw, I basically just painted it with flat gray primer. I messed up here and my tripod was accidentally sitting against my bench, so I apologize for this kind of shaky footage right here. When going through and removing everything, it was just a little easier for me to take the tilting wheel and shaft out as one assembly. So I just cleaned the shaft up here. Also got rid of some of the old black paint that was on the wheel. Took some time to clean up some of the other external parts, such as the pointer bracket that lets you know what angle the table saw blade is, as well as the bracket that holds the other shaft that allows the whole assembly to move up and down. So in the beginning of the restoration, the tabletop was of course one of the first things removed, and it's been sitting to the side for quite a while now, so I figured we would give it a little attention. I did decide I think I'm going to make another separate video, as this file is about 6-7 minutes long, and I don't know how long you guys want to stick around to watch 6 or 7 minutes of restoring a tabletop. However, I do know there are some people interested in it. So I'm going to cut this up, kind of make it a little bit shorter, just in an effort to try to keep the videos all about the same size. But we will go through the process of it very quickly, and then I will have a separate video, a little more detailed, that you guys can check out if you would like. I'll link it here. So as you can see here, it looks like at some point somebody decided to do a little welding and use the tabletop as maybe like a welding table. There were a couple of pretty good sized beads left over that were sitting pretty proud of the surface, that you can kind of tell by me hitting them here with the scraper. Basically just went over them with some 60 grit sandpaper and then used a file to kind of smooth them out. Ended up going with a sharpening stone at the end just to try to get it. I think that sharpening stone's to 400 grit. There was another pretty rough spot on the rear left miter slot, so I could just hit that with a file really quick and then sandpaper to smooth it out. We then move on to the miter slots themselves. Basically just took a thin piece of wood, wrapped some 600 grit sandpaper initially, and just cleaned the tracks out the best I could. Did end up having to use 120 grit on a few spots that had a little residue. Once all of the major imperfections were addressed, I went over the entire tabletop with 120 grit sandpaper on my orbital sander and followed that with a sharpening stone. Once finished with the sharpening stone, I just started lower in the grits. I think I started at a 400 grit wet dry sandpaper. Then went to 600, 1200, and then 2500. And then ended up using some polishing compound at the end of the video. Once the tabletop was good to go, we could then focus on the sides of the top. The sides really weren't that bad, just a little bit of old paint and some rust, and a wire wheel and drill made pretty easy work of it. Once we got the paint and rust removed, we could then prime and paint. The outside of the top, I did leave just that primer gray, so there would be a little bit of transition in color between the top and the base of the table saw. Alright guys, let's get this case looking good. What you see me doing right here is kind of cleaning out some of all of the cracks and crevices of the outer part of the case. And I'm going to be putting a clear silicone around every gap just to kind of help with dust collection efficiency. So for the sanding of the outer case, I somehow lost some footage along the way. I apologize. I'm not really sure what happened to it. But I did go around the outside. There was still a good bit of residue, even after pressure washing from all of the spray adhesive and just board that they had put on there. But I did go over, kind of sand everything down, file some edges and things like that, and ended up taking everything down to 220 grit. For the internals of the case, I just went with that flat gray primer, 2 coats. And then for the outside of the case, put 2 coats of primer, and then I decided on a dark carbon gray. I think it turned out to look pretty sweet. So moving around again, we're gonna jump back over here to the wheels. I ended up painting these after I painted all of the other parts. So that's kind of why I threw them in here. Sorry the video is a little scattered, guys. I just had so many things going on at one time. Like while the case was drying, I was removing tape. While the tape was getting removed, I had parts being cleaned and set in a bath or something like that. So, and now for the other parts. Basically, they have all been hanging out drying, and we can go through, take all of the tape off of them, get them ready for assembly for the next video. Also wanted to hit the teeth of the arbor and a few other things just to really polish those up and make them look good. I think the teeth turned out well here. Alright guys, that's going to do it for part 3. I hope you guys enjoyed. I know this one was a little scattered. We had a lot going on. But I'm just trying to get everything cleaned up, get everything right. Coming up in the next video, I wanted to try my hand at freehanding and fixing all of the labels and badges on the table saw. A couple of them were pretty bent, rough looking. I think you guys will get some enjoyment out of that. As well as the assembly guys were there finally. So once again, hope you guys enjoyed it. If you want to check out these 2 other videos above, the one on the left will link to part 2 of the series, and when I upload part 4 of the series, I will have it linked to the right. If you did, please feel free to like the video. It helps more than you know, and hit that circle button, subscribe, hit notification bell so you guys will know when the next part of the series is uploaded. Yeah, once again, thank you so much for watching. Thank you for choosing me. I really do appreciate it. Hope you guys are getting some enjoyment out of it, and we'll see you in the next one.